Hello, everybody. Welcome into B&T Sports Talk Show. I'm your
Yeah.
boy T. I'm out of town, folks. If you can't see it behind me, I'm a multi left. That there, folks, is a giant screen on the side of a hotel. I am in Las Vegas for work. So I wish I could tell you I was out here just living up, enjoying myself, but I got this orange ass work shirt on, so obviously I'm not going out for looks or anything like that. Oh man. Thanks folks for joining us. We know our show's a little bit late, just because some work things that I have to do. So we appreciate you joining. Go ahead and hit that
Yes.
subscribe button, hit the like button. Want to give a quick shout out to our last video, B. Quick shout out. We put up 74 views in 24 hours, man, on our Pick'em Dummies on Friday. So kudos to everybody that tuned in,
Yeah,
viewed it
absolutely.
apparently more than once, I guess. I don't know. Uh, I wish I could tell you what the magic was, but me and B, we don't know either. But we appreciate y'all. We do appreciate you. Just keep it up. See if we can do it again. How you
We
doing, B?
definitely do. I'm doing good, man. I gotta, it was my Saturday, it was Sunday, jumped on the roof for my family, cleaned out some gutters. I went to go to the storage unit, help my dad move some stuff around here. So now it's time to relax. Got a chance to watch all the basketball games, which was
Yeah.
dope. But I need to ask you, what hotel are you currently at right now that requires a big ass board on the side of basically on the entire hotel?
So I am at one of the newer hotels, which is a giant high rise, and it's like split into two buildings, kind of like a weird shape, whatever. So it's a Resorts World. There are two new casinos. This one and the one right across the street, which is called Blue something. I forgot. But this thing is crazy. So I was going to the event, left the event, took a left when I should have took a right, and I ended up in a mall. So there's like a whole mall. There's a high end eatery, high end shops. You know, the then they have the casino. Then they have another kind of food food court, if you will, on the other side. So yeah, man, it's pretty nice, man. It's a really nice hotel. They try to make sure you don't want to leave, so
I
it's nice.
can I can imagine trying to sleep at night with that board going, being consistently honest. From the looks of it, it doesn't look like it don't shut off at all, to say the least
No,
here. So good luck with that, my man.
it doesn't. I have curtains though, so I'm gonna close those and hopefully that works. But as you can see, every time it switches over to something else, it like flickers. It gets really bright.
It gets progressively brighter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't even know. I don't
All
even know what's
right.
being advertised behind me. I don't even know what is it. Uh, Fit. There you
It
go.
says it says fit.
Go to the gym. Interesting message in
Well, hey,
Vegas.
let's get into it here. Obviously, the NBA is back after the All Star break, so we're gonna cover our two teams first. Taj, we're gonna start with your team, which is the
Oh
Los
God,
Angeles
why?
Lakers. Here now, we talked about it earlier. The first 10 games after the All Star break was going to be very, very important here, and they haven't done so well in these first
Yeah,
3 games here. A loss to the Warriors, a very close win against the San Antonio Spurs, and then today was a very bad loss against the Suns here. So look, they got a lot to figure out, and the time is ticking here, to say the least. These 10 games are really going to dictate how the rest of the season goes. So, what was your initial thought with these first 3 games here? Obviously, with the loss today against the Suns, put them in the 10th seed in the NBA Western Conference here. So, let me get your input on here. You got a chance to watch your team for 3 games. How did? What's the biggest thing you're taking away from all of this here?
well, first, let me grab. I'm gonna have to grab my headphones real quick because when you talk and I talk, it's probably making an echo. So just point that out. We're doing the best we can, folks. What basically, to be honest with you, the Lakers have gone through the whole injury transition, the thing where they are missing a lot of players. Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, now Christian Wood. These guys are all now just not playing very well at all. Let me grab my headphones. Hold on.
Sorry about that, y'all. We are just going to get this resolved here real quick. But in any case, if you're watching this for the first time, please make sure that you are subscribed and tune in. This is not our normal setup, to say the least. Again, we're just two average guys talking about some sports and also living our daily lives as well here. So, as you can see, my boy T is on a work trip in Las Vegas. Hopefully, he's staying away from the money. He is back. He is
Surprise, surprise,
back.
surprise. There we go. All right.
All right,
All right.
go ahead and
Let's
let's
talk
get
about it.
back into it here.
My Lakers are so bad. I'm wearing Clipper orange for some reason. That's how bad they are. It's just Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, Gabe Vincent. They've got a lot of guys who are out. They spent the first half of the season twiddling around with their lineups, and I put that on the coach, who Darvin Ham couldn't seem to figure out who he wanted to play and how long he wanted to play them. If you
Yeah,
remember at the beginning of the season, he said that LeBron would be on a limited time, limited, would have limited minutes, and then 2 games later, that went out the window. So it's just been one thing after another with this team. They've had very little consistency, and since they botched the first half of the season, they put themselves in a position where they don't have a choice but to go into super
yeah,
duper grind mode. The problem is they still have injured guys. Most of their defensive players are injured, and they can't play defense. And LeBron is LeBron. LeBron gonna play, but you know, they just don't seem to. They never peaked with this group, and I don't think they ever really gave this group a good chance because of all the lineup changes and injuries anyway. So for them to get into this later part of the season after not being a cohesive unit all season, to think that they're all of a sudden going to be a great, this team that gets to the sixth seed, I think is out. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man.
yeah, yeah. And watching today's game, there was just too many bad turnovers on the Lakers end in today's game. You saw a lot of guys spinning into double teams here.
Yeah,
Trying to force the hand a little too much. And who was it? Torian Prince?
yeah,
He needs to get off the court. Like, he should not be putting a Laker uniform on for the rest of the year, man. He had I mean, he's been having some bad games, but watching him today, man, they left him wide open and he airballed two of those threes, and just listening to Darvin Ham trying to motivate these guys to get a move in here. I honestly, I see why you don't see that drive from them. You got to play motivated. They're professional players. They're motivated,
yeah,
but it's your job to get them ready here. And to be honest with you, the LeBron shut down for the rest of the game. The dagger three that put the Suns ahead by I think it was 13.
yeah.
He was nowhere near the play. He didn't get a foul call here, and he just shut it down after that here. And that is the sign of LeBron really not wanting to take care of this or to just really pursue this going forward. And I just don't understand why AD isn't the focal point. There's not a man on that court that can stop AD from a 10 to 15-foot bunny hook that he was getting all game, and they just continuously do not working in and out with that kind of presence in there. So Darvin Ham is probably going to find his way out of here.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, whenever you have players, because you can't look at the Laker roster and go, "Yeah, this is a bunch of mediocre guys." I mean, these guys are pretty good players. I mean, you're talking about LeBron, obviously Anthony Davis, who's only missed what less than 5 games this
At
season.
at most five.
And LeBron as well hasn't missed that many games. I think he missed maybe 8 games. D'Angelo Russell has had his moments, but he's not a terrible player. Austin Reeves has had his up and downs, but again, these are not terrible players. Rui Hachimura, these guys are talented. It's just about putting them in the best place for them to succeed. And like I said, B, I just think bottom line is, man, you spent the first half of the season, throwing dice at the wall when you should have been locking in your lineup. There isn't another coach in the NBA that was still trying to figure out lineups 40 games into the season, 30 games into the season, man.
No, not at all. Not at all. At some point, you have a lineup that you're going to run out there normally here, until you get your core group of guys back.
Yeah.
And so it's too late in the season to start experiments. Those experiments happen the first 10, maybe 15 games of the year. You start putting guys in the position where they can succeed. And, now we're almost 3/4 of the way through the season and you still don't even have a consistent lineup here. Um, the Lakers do have technically 5 home games coming up. I mean, I'm not even going to call it away against the Clippers because they're playing in the same arena with each other.
Yeah.
But then they get the Wizards, the Nuggets, the Thunder, and the Kings. And to be quite honest with you, I only see one win in these 5 games, and that's going to be against the Wizards.
Well,
If
that's
they keep playing the way that they do,
well, that's a problem. You lose games to the Heat. Excuse me. You lose games to the Atlanta Hawks and the
yeah,
Spurs and all these other teams, and you piss off the first half of the season. The Lakers have one of the most difficult schedules in the month of March. So they literally are going to have to finish the season. They have to hope for 500 the rest of the way and be in the play-in. That's what we're looking at here. So again, I'm trying to be as positive about this
optimist.
as I can, but the bottom line is they're not at this point in time. They're not a good enough team to compete the way that they did last year. I know they had that big run at the end, but they have way more guys injured this time around, and you don't have this change of the guard where
Yeah,
guys are getting a lift because they're on a new team. These guys have already been here. I said a long time ago, I thought they should have fired Darvin Ham, over a month ago. They didn't. So now they're going to have to fire him in the offseason because LeBron also has to sign a contract this offseason. They're going to go and look for some type of crazy trade. It's going to be the same old Laker garbage, where they're just going to we're gonna get Kyrie Irving or we're gonna get Donovan Mitchell. We're gonna okay. Well, just make sure that you get a coach that knows what he's doing and try to put some balance around them. And for goodness sake, LeBron is a gift and a curse. The man plays so well that you forget how old he is until his ankle mysteriously gets injured after 4 days off, and then he can't play play against the
yeah,
Warriors. And then it's just like, what the hell was that? And then I hate to even say this, but LeBron is not affecting the wins and losses of this team.
not at
He's
all.
not creating wins for this team. And so at some point you have to think, okay, well, where is the next star that we're going to pair with AD in order to push this thing forward? Because as great a player as LeBron is, and I'm not taking anything from him, there's no other player at his age doing what he's doing right now. But his team leaves a lot to be desired. He's not doing anything necessarily to help them win. And some may argue, well, if he wasn't there, they'd be a lot worse. Yeah, you might be right, but at the end of the day, superstars aren't judged. Superstars are not judged that way.
No,
We're not gonna look at Jason Tatum on a 500 ball club, this far through the season and go, well, they would have been worse without him. No, you're gonna say no. He's got to step it up. And so the question is, at this age, can LeBron compete on a night in and night out basis? And the answer is starting to become no. So
absolutely
you
not.
got to find the next star to either play with him that will have the ball in his hand more often, or you have to start thinking beyond LeBron. And as a Laker fan, I'm a Laker fan first. I'm not a LeBron fan, so might be some haters out there, but I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm not saying I don't like LeBron. I'm just saying I'm not a guy that was like, oh, I love LeBron when he was on the Heat and the Cat. I never, he was LeBron, but I was a Laker fan the whole time. So
Yeah,
he the only reason he on this team is to win championships. If that's not
yeah,
happening, do something else, man.
and that is the Laker way, and it's always been the Laker way.
Yeah,
It's championship first here. The thing is with this team here, I don't get how you could go with beating the Celtics without your two biggest players and then proceed to play like this night in and night out.
dude.
Like there's no consistency in the drive to want for these wins here.
Yeah,
A big win against the Celtics like that with most of your bench players, and not a true star. That's got to be motivation as the season goes forward here.
yeah,
And like you said, LeBron's not getting any younger. He's damn near 40. You got to start really thinking about putting a young roster around him that's going to compete. And they're just not doing it. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's not going to change anything for him. Rui Hachimura is one of the guys that they were expecting big things and hasn't really had a big season. Austin Reeves is starting to break out a little, but you're not getting the Austin Reeves of last year this year right now. And I honestly think the biggest thing to that is his contract. once guys get big contracts and they're signed and they're good, that hunger kind of goes away a little bit, you know? That separates a superstar from just your regular players. That contract comes in and they're sitting comfortable. They know that money's guaranteed. They have nothing to worry about now. So that little extra push that you saw from last year when he was playing for a contract is a little different when he's got a bag underneath him here. So
Well, yeah,
um
yeah. I also think that with when you get that contract, it also comes with some pressure too, and
there does,
expectations.
yes.
So you outperformed last time, and so everybody thinks you're great because you did better than they thought you would. But now that you're expected to do it, it's a whole different ball game. And I think that's what Austin Reeves is experiencing. Is he's expected to be a 15 to 17 point a night guy. He's expected to
Mm-hmm.
shoot 50% from the field, even though he's mainly a perimeter player. And that's a difficult thing to do for any player in the NBA. Let alone a guy who's what is he? This is his second, third year. This is third. I think his third year.
I think it was his third year
His
because that
third
rookie
year.
contract was starting to come up.
Yeah, so his third year in the season into the NBA, his NBA career. So yeah, man, I think that did kind of catch up. Same thing for Rui. These are young guys. These are not guys who have been in the
Yeah.
league for a long time. So, I'm just waiting to see, man. But honestly, I'm getting a little tired of it now. I mean, we keep seeing the same thing every year where they piss off half the season, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to make the playoffs. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, y'all should have been doing that. Like, why are we waiting until the end of the season to try to make something happen? I remember they did this same thing when LeBron was playing with the young guys,
Yeah.
with Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma and all these guys, and nothing came of it. It was like, oh, well, LeBron's going into playoff mode, and he got injured like the second game in, and then that was the end of the season. So it they have to find some type of balance, and I really think the first thing they need to do is get a leader that's going to put guys in a position to succeed instead of just putting guys in.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be an interesting coaching carousel. Should they fire Darvin Ham either towards the end of the season or after the season here?
Hey,
Let's give LeBron a little bit of flowers here. We have been on him pretty rough to say the least, but that's what comes when you're one of the best players in the NBA.
yeah,
He will be approaching the 40,000 point mark, which is going to be the first in NBA history. Again, the GOAT conversation takes place here, but we're not going to have that discussion here. Let's talk about the longevity
yeah.
of LeBron James here to get to 40,000 points here in his career. You know, it's remarkable that we're even having this conversation. You know, that's just setting the bar to see who is even going to come close to
Nobody.
even getting to 35,000 points. You know what I'm saying? Let alone hitting the 40,000 mark. Do you ever see another NBA player getting to 40,000 outside of LeBron?
I'm gonna say it's gonna take a very long time, and probably not. I mean, we have to remember that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held that title for the better part of how long? 40 years or something like that.
Yeah,
40
yeah,
years. So I mean, that's a really long time. And so the a few things have to happen perfectly. One of those things, it has to be a player that starts his career early, meaning a player that comes out of high school. So that's strike number one, right?
yep,
We're not we don't they don't do that anymore, so we're not going to see that again, right? Another thing is that player is going to have to be one of the best talent. He's going to have to be not just young, but extremely talented, and then he'll also have to be healthy throughout a majority of his career. So those three things, they don't happen often, and so I just doubt very seriously that we'll see another player um, be able to get 40,000 points. I don't know if I don't think we're gonna see that. I just don't
yeah.
I don't think we're gonna see it happen.
And we got Drunk in the comments here. Drunk, welcome to the show, man. Good to see you. He says, listen, congrats to LeBron, but can we stop acting like this man ate on PEDs? Uh,
I mean,
and
I wish he was, because then he could have played against the Warriors.
I mean, you're true. It's true to that there, but I mean, look, I don't think LeBron's on PEDs. I get where you're coming with that, Drunk here, but look, in this day and age, there's things that you're seeing here. There's a change in how uh, players are prepping themselves, how they're keeping themselves healthy. You see a lot of the big time superstars really looking to take care of themselves, investing in their health to make sure that they can withstand a longevity. Because we're so used to seeing players at the age of 35 just calling it quits after that. You
Yeah.
know, they're considered old in this kind of industry.
Yeah.
LeBron and Curry are kind of changing that narrative. Look, we're not going to use Adonis Haslam as an example because that dude sat on the bench
Yeah.
for most of his career here. So that's why he was, a Heat until he was 70 years old and then decided to retire. you know, but even Russell Wilson of the NFL, he spends $1 million a year making sure his body is good. Now, is he a great player? It was a pretty rough season for him last
he
year,
he
but
was he was a good player.
he's given himself every opportunity to continue to play in a sport that really shortens a lot of careers here, and that's what LeBron is doing here. I think we're going to get another 3 years out of LeBron, to say, but I think you're going to see these roles start to diminish a little bit here because it is going to eventually catch up to him. The game is getting quicker, but as far as someone reaching 40,000 points, this may be a record that just stands the test of time.
Yeah.
Even with the league changing with the amount of scoring that's happened, it's still going to take a very, very tall task of someone to even get to that point. You may have to play until you're 45 to get to that record there, which I really don't see happening
Right.
in this day and age here. So
Yeah.
once LeBron gets to that point, big congratulations to him. We'll make sure that we do here. He may get it done this week if he can average 20 points a game, which again isn't a difficult thing for him. But at the same time, if the team's playing bad, he may not be playing as well here.
I mean, I'll just kind of give some perspective here. I'm looking at the list of names of the top scorers all time in the NBA, and the nearest active player is Kevin Durant, who's ninth. Okay,
Yeah,
he's ninth, and so that's kind of what you're looking at, and why you kind of think, well, maybe he probably isn't going to reach that. He's and just to give some background of the distance between some of these players, Kareem had 38,338 point 37 looks like. Kevin Durant is 28 318. So he's quite a ways back, and he's
yeah,
about 10,000 points back from LeBron, who's still playing. And just to give you some perspective, that's it. That's it. I mean, you'd have to go all the way down to James Harden is 22nd. Those are the only two active players in the entire NBA that are, what is this, top 20? It's not even close. So I don't
yeah.
know.
If we're talking top 20, you can't include James Harden in that conversation.
No. James Harden has 25,000. And so just to give you perspective, I'm not trying to hate. But Steph Curry he only has 23,000 points.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's nowhere near this. I'd be surprised if he even gets to 30,000 by the time his career is
yeah,
over.
and it's gonna sound hard for some people to believe, but it's because he shoots threes.
Yeah,
When you shoot threes, you're shooting at 40%. The top scorers at the top of this list, they're all shooting 50% around 50%.
yeah,
So
and
so
they're all got that mid game to post to
post,
that post
yeah,
as well here.
yeah. So, but anyway, so yeah, man, it's gonna be tough to catch. I don't think Durant is gonna get there because his scoring has fallen off. His scoring has
Yeah.
been falling off for the past 2 to 3 years. He hasn't been a top league scorer as far as points go for a while now.
It's been falling off like his hairline, to say the least, in the back of his head. I was waiting for
Man,
you to set that one up, sir.
man, them BDB buckshot. I don't know why he don't just comb his hair. Why doesn't he brush his hair?
Why doesn't
Anyway,
he just shave it all off,
yeah,
man?
he
Like
should.
that, the
He
back of
should.
his head is just missing. It looks like a crater
Yeah.
just that landed from space on the back of Kevin Durant's head, and now he's just got that open patch in the back of
People
his head.
think because he tall, can't nobody see it. We all see it, man. You on television, the cameras are above you.
Cameras don't hide it, sir. You can wear a hat all you want, but you ain't wearing a hat on the court.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, let's switch over to my team here, the Golden State Warriors. 2 out of 3 during the All Star break. They just dropped today's game against the Denver Nuggets. Again, another bad loss at home, up 15 plus before the half, and then they end up in a tie, only to lose this game here. Um, there's a lot of consistency with this team right now. I really don't have much to really harp on with these guys here. It's just, you know, they have a uphill battle to get into the 60. Now, granted, it's a 5 game separation, but you have to be, you know, you got to win 15 games
Yeah,
in this stretch run to even try to get yourself out of there. But you also are going to need a lot of help because you're asking for 5 teams to also lose at a very alarming rate here. So it's going to be very tough to get out of there. But I think the biggest news coming out of this week here for the Warriors, Steve Kerr gets a 2 year contract at $35 million, making him the highest paid coach in NBA history here. This is a message to the Warrior fans that that we've got 2 years left with these guys here. This contract matches with Draymond's contract. He's got 2 years left. This contract matches with Steph Curry, another 2 years. The only person that's pending is our man Klay Thompson here.
yeah.
So, you know, look, you've seen dynasties, you've seen them rise, you've seen them fall. What is what does this mean for the Warriors for the next couple of years here?
Yeah, man. Well, it's tough to say. I feel like Steph Curry has been playing at prime level for some time now.
Yeah.
Clay is obviously past his prime, and Draymond is starting to get to that point to where he can't play a whole regular season anymore either. So I think the question is, what type of players do they put around this team over the next 2 years to help fortify what they've got? And you have to start looking to, like, they've been giving more minutes to Kaminga, and you got to start looking at Wiggins and guys like that. This team, even if they decide to keep this core, they have to make those peripheral moves that are going to make this team better instead of older. Because right now they're just getting older. Clay's coming off the bench because not because he's playing lights out. It's because he hurt his knee twice and he's getting older.
Yes.
He can't guard starting guards anymore. It's not something he can do. And
And
go ahead. Man.
to put that in perspective, today he started the first half with 23 points, shot lights out. Is how many points he had in the second half?
How many?
Zero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His shots were so flat, those legs were tired here, and that's why he's coming off the bench there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, to continue on with your saying there, they've got a couple of young guys here, but they have to get younger here. They're gonna have to part ways with some of these other young guys as well to find that balance because you want to go young, vet, and then obviously the 3 old guys as well. So putting that in a combination of finding a roster for that could facilitate all of that is going to be the biggest challenge for Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna be big, but there are some guys out there. I think the Warriors have to look to pursue. We and I think it's gonna be a lot of wait and see. There are a lot of teams at the top of the uh, playoff echelon that we don't know if they're gonna make the playoffs. We don't know if they're gonna not. Excuse me. We know they're gonna make the playoffs. We don't know if they're gonna win a championship or make it to the Western Conference Finals. Right.
exactly.
Two of those teams, which will have a huge domino impact, are the Clippers and the
Hmm.
and the Timberwolves. If those two teams don't make it to the finals, things will change. The Clippers have been going at it for a long time now. Now they did extend. They did extend. Who did they extend? Was it Kawhi Leonard? I think.
I think
Or
it
was
was
it
Kawhi
Paul?
Leonard.
Yeah, either him and Paul George. But the thing is, if they don't make it or they get bounced out in the first or second round, maybe they fire their coach. Maybe they trade James Harden because remember James Harden just got there. Maybe things switch up because it's been a 5 year experiment that hasn't produced anything. You never know. Same thing with the
Yeah.
Timberwolves. Timberwolves are having the best season of their lives, the best season ever. And I think they had a season like this. I want to say maybe 5 years ago or something. But they're playing really really well. Um, will they play this well in the playoffs? We don't know. If it doesn't work out, do you keep Conley? Do you keep both those big guys? You know what you got to keep Ann Edwards. So what happens after that? So I think
Yeah.
there are some questions to be answered. You know, obviously this past trade deadline, you had some players available that the Warriors went after. I know you guys tried to go after Siakam um, and well, I think that was about it. I'm trying to think who else you guys may have pursued, but
I think they were really only pursuing Siakam
yeah,
until that until that LeBron conversation came out. But yeah, that I mean, and the biggest thing too is Chris Paul's contract
yeah,
because
yeah.
you're going to owe him about $45 million next year, and is it really worth
You
it?
got to
And
trade that, man.
he's due to come back from his hand injury. It looks like during this East Coast road trip, hopefully before the Boston game. But if the Warriors do good, let's just say hypothetically the Warriors do good, they get into the playoffs and they make either a semis or a conference final showing here. Is that enough for them to say, hey, you know what, we'll keep Chris Paul? But at that time, then you're really investing too much money into some really old ass players,
Yeah,
to say the least. And Chris Paul is the ringleader. He is the oldest one
yeah.
out of that
He's old.
entire group there. Um, so it's to be seen here. But like I said, this is just too much of an uphill battle to say, oh, the Warriors can get out of the fifth or get to the fifth or sixth seed. They need a lot of help, but they also need to continue winning here. But losing games at home and only being 2 games above 500 at home, and that's not the Warrior way. That's never been the Warrior way. They've always been good at home,
Yeah,
and it's been sketchy on the road. And now it's like, well, now we're just a 500 team. And Curry called it best. He said that they were an average team.
yeah,
So, right. I mean, the record speaks it. 500 is average to say.
yeah, yeah. The average team with a great player, and so it is going to be tough for them to push forward and try to make the tournament or make something happen. And whenever you're older like this, everything's so fragile. You're one nick or injury away from you know
Everything just getting
it's
derailed.
gonna get demolished. Just like never mind, we're not gonna make the playoffs. So yeah, man, we'll see how it turns out. We will see.
Yo, that board behind you is having a stroke fest behind you, man.
I don't
That
know.
thing was
It's
looking like an EDC concert in the background.
I don't know what the hell's
Wait,
going on, man. I don't know what the
let's
hell's
go
going on.
around the league here. Now, this past week we had there was a good fight in the NBA here. Now, we generally don't get a chance to see a good fight, but it turned into pushing and shoving, and then Thomas Bryant and Jose Alvarez decided to throw hands, to say the least. And we're talking about the Pelicans and the Heat here. This all started with Kevin Love and a foul,
Mhm.
turned into Jimmy Butler and Najee Marshall having a quite discussion here. Both teams met at the court, and then I don't know what it was, but Thomas Bryant and
They don't
Alvarado
like each
just made
other.
eye contact and they started throwing punches. They came
Yeah,
off the
man.
bench here. Now in the NBA, you're not supposed to. It's handled between the guys on the court. If you're on the bench, you're not supposed to instigate it. And these two just decided to punch each other here. So
Right.
you had a chance to watch the fight here. What I mean, we haven't seen punches thrown in a while, to say the least. What do you think of that fight?
Yeah, well, I think it's a good thing to know that people still hate each other in the worldwide the great world of sports because a lot of times the understanding is that these guys go home, they call each other and hang out with one another and all that. But I think what we missed your boy went straight at Jimmy Butler's throat. I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
grabbed him by the throat, crazy.
they both had hands on each other's
Yeah, it
throats,
was
man.
crazy. It looked like an old school 1930s Jackie Chan movie where they both caught each other by the throat and they just waiting on the next hand to. It looked crazy. So I mean, Jimmy Butler's that guy. I expect that. Um,
Yeah,
what I like is the fact that Zion Williamson is the one this all stems around anyway because he got fouled. He gets up and walks away. He don't even know the fight's happening until he just got up and
and
walked away.
he's the biggest man on the court
Yeah,
too. Like, why aren't you
he
getting?
should
He's like,
be
I'm not. I don't want nothing to do with this.
he should be in the middle of that, making sure guys don't get hurt. But you know what, man? I like it, man. I like it. Two key teams
I
competing. That's
Yeah.
a the Heat have always had that identity of being a hard hitting team. Blue collar. We're gonna get in there and just work for it, outwork you, And so yeah, if you're gonna throw punches at them, then hey man, they're gonna throw punches back. So man, I like it. Everybody got suspended, but it was fun to see an old school 1990s situation.
Yeah, and so Jimmy Butler and Najee are suspended for 1 game without pay, but the biggest suspensions came to Thomas Bryant and Jose Alvarado, missing 3 games here. Now look, Jose Alvarado's got this thing when he gets on the court, he likes to hide and then steal the ball from the
Yeah,
point or when the ball's
yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
He literally did the exact same thing in this one. He hid and decided to jump. He like you can see him jumping and punching Thomas Bryant to save the lead. Like, dude, it was complete chaos, man. But I agree with
Man,
you here. Look, we're getting to the point where we're getting into the playoff push here. You got two teams fighting literally for a spot in the playoffs here. So we got a little chippy.
right.
Like I said, a lot of guys, this league is about the NBA is a big brotherhood.
Yeah,
Regardless, at the end of it, most of these players are talking to each other on each other's podcasts, going out to dinner after the game. They spend a lot of time together.
right.
This here, they chose not to, and they really chose why they hate each other to say the
They sure
least. So,
did. They said, I'm about to beat
um,
you up. Yep.
yeah. And then let's talk about some unwritten rules in the NBA.
Unwritten
Now,
rules.
you
Okay.
see when a lot of teams give up, they bring in their bench, but when they're getting blown out, with under like 40 seconds left, it's almost like an unwritten rule not to shoot. The team's not coming back. They don't
Yeah.
want you scoring here.
Right, 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 right.
The Warriors and Hornets decided let's change that narrative. Now, the Warriors were up by I think it was 12 with maybe about 15 seconds left with the shot clock getting ready to expire.
Yeah.
Quinones goes up for a layup. PJ comes in, blocks it. It's goaltending, and then has a problem with it. They all get together. Now, Grant Williams, who, mind you, just almost kissed Jimmy Butler last year, decided to do the exact same thing with Quinones, and they got into a little argument here. Now, nothing came of it here. They went their ways here. But let me ask you this, T. I'll let you answer this first.
Yeah.
Unwritten rules. Should it exist?
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes off as showing up a team. I don't have a problem with a guy taking a shot if the shot clock is going down.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes some teams don't even take that shot. I mean, some teams just go ahead and take the penalty, or take the 24-second violation, and then that's the end of the game. So I get it, man. This has been a thing that's popped up many times before, and bottom line is the players govern the players, man. So if they don't like it, then they don't like it. I mean, you have a little bit of a new school versus old school thing going on, where guys are just trying to maybe do the James Harden thing and pad your stats a little bit, throwing rebounds to yourself and all type of ridiculousness. But I think it's best left in the hands of the players. If the players
Yeah.
feel like, hey, you know what? I don't like that. Then they have the right to say, you know what? I don't like that. That's fine. I don't think it should be the refs getting involved necessarily as far as a rule behind it. But if you're at the end of the game and you're down 15 and you feel like the team is trying to show you up, because this has happened a lot. But this happened a lot. This happened before. Just know that somebody's gonna get upset about it, and they might come after you. I mean, that's what you should know. And so yeah. I don't necessarily agree with unwritten rules necessarily, but if the players feel like they need to defend themselves or they don't like it, then let the players deal with it. Let them handle it. If that's how they feel, that's
Here's
how they feel.
here's my thing with it. Don't get your ass whooped then.
Yeah.
You had 45 minutes in that entire game to show that kind of fight, to show that kind of push. You just chose the last 15 seconds because you were getting your ass whooped that you decided not to let another 2 points get scored on you. Look, the Warriors are a team that's all about turnovers, and they were already at 20. Why would they want another turnover, to say the least
Yeah.
here?
But
Um,
the other side of that is that every team that does that is going to get blown out by another team. Like
yeah,
there isn't a team that's not going to go through the same thing. The question is, if it's you and it's your team, will you allow the team that's beating you up to do the same thing? And sometimes the answer is no, and that's my point. That's why I think the players should, like, there's some situations where it's like, oh, okay, not a big deal, but you let Draymond be out there on the court, and the Warriors are down by 50, and he's done this before, and the Warriors are
he
down.
has.
Warriors are down, and a guy's driving hard to the hoop the last minute of the game. He's gonna foul the crap out of him. right?
He
Yeah,
gonna make him earn it.
he's
He
gonna
gonna make
foul
him
the
earn it.
crap out of him. And teams, they get mad because, oh, well, I was up, yada yada. Yeah, but if you do that to them, they're gonna get upset. Bottom line, and that's why I say I think the
Here's
players just handle
yeah, and to that as well here. My whole thing is look, don't get your ass whooped.
it.
Plain
Yeah,
and simple.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're gonna get your ass whooped, take it like a man.
Take the
You
L.
decided not to come out and put that competition on the court there. Don't change the narrative with 20 seconds left in the game. Now you mentioned Draymond doing that. Draymond will throw you into the courtside seats in the first 2 minutes of the game if he really wanted
Yeah,
to.
true.
He don't change from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. That man stays consistent, which is punching everybody and throwing everyone and slapping people around. It's when Grant Williams didn't do anything all game, and then now he wants to show up a player, which he had nothing to do with. That was between PJ and Quinones.
Yeah,
That he came in and got in his face, and then Quinones turned around and said, "You a bitch." He called Grant Williams a bitch about 4 different times, and then Draymond got on the podium. And typical Draymond just said, "Dude, you don't want my lifestyle," because that's something that Draymond would do. You're 100% right.
yeah,
But look, there's a special breed with Draymond, and that's why there's only two players in the league that could really get away with that, and
yeah.
that's Patrick Beverly and Draymond Green,
Seriously.
because they stay the same for all 4 quarters here.
Yeah,
So there are unwritten rules that I feel like should not be broken. But there's also the fact that look, you getting your ass whooped. What is 2 points gonna? What are the difference between 2 points now and the 2 points that were getting dropped on you all game, to say the least here?
yeah, exactly.
They're just choosing not to turn the ball over. That's it.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it during the show, but the All-Star game on Sunday was a disaster. 211
yeah.
points scored by the East here. Very minimum effort between these NBA players when it comes to this.
So crazy, man.
You charge an arm and a leg to watch the NBA All-Star game. I guarantee you I'm not going there to watch 211 points. I'm here to see the best players, some of the best defenders showcase their talent and compete here.
Yeah.
Before I go on my rant, what was your thoughts of the All-Star game?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was like it had less effort than a YMCA, pickup game. It really looked like neither of these teams were interested. They were just gonna jack up threes and mess around. And I don't think at any point in the game it really felt like they were getting any more serious about competing. And I just think they gotta find a way to, again, how do you motivate this thing? Do you put more money behind it? What's you have to think of some type of incentive that you can give these players so that they're out there at least trying. It doesn't. The only guys out there trying are like the guys that are young, obviously. But we want to see guys out there competing against the best players, and really actually root or be interested in one of these teams, and I think the way they got it set up right now, man, these dudes is they showing up real quick, they going home and going on vacation like 2 minutes after they leave the court. So I don't think that although they reverted back to the old format, just this overall showing was not must see TV, and
No.
the game took 2 hours just to start, and it just went on and on and on, and then it turned out to be a bogus game. So it was really just a dud, man.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but had I paid that money to watch the All-Star game, I'd have thrown something on the court for that kind of performance. Like, dude, guys weren't even breaking a sweat.
No.
When you watch the videos from the early 2000s and even in the early 2010s years as well,
Yeah.
you saw defense. I mean, the clear example, Kobe Bryant's a clear example, man.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys who was going to lock you up, and you saw one-on-one events here.
Yeah.
You know what you should make the All-Star weekend or the All-Star game? A one-on-one contest and have a bracket format. First 1 to 7. Everything's 1 point.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have this kind of effort, put something like that out there.
Yeah.
I honestly think they should do what MLB did, and the All-Star game winner determined home field advantage in the World Series. The
Wow.
same thing could be done in the NBA. Winner of the East versus West gets home court for the NBA Finals here.
Yeah.
Um, you may see a little guys. You may see some guys trying here because most of the All Stars are from guys that are competing to get to the finals here.
Right. Right.
So why would you, especially if you know that you have a really good chance of getting to the NBA Finals, why wouldn't you want home court advantage during that time there? So that's one way. I think money, but how much more money can you throw at these guys? I mean,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
make it $1 million incentive at this point
Right.
for these guys to want to try during the All Star game. But the fact of the matter is the NBA really needs to take a look on this All Star game here because this was a clear example of like you and I. If we know we're going on vacation the next day, you are not getting a lick of performance out of me because I'm too concerned about when my flight takes off
Right.
in less than 24 hours. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going on vacation. I'm going to Disneyland. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And the players had an additional 4 days off as well here. So they knew that they were going to get some time off. So it was like, hey, you know what? We got 4 days off. We're going to go enjoy a little bit of ourselves, enjoy a little bit of the festivities here, and call it a day after that. So NBA just needs to do better with as far as making it a little more competitive to watch. Because if it's anything like this next year, I can guarantee you I'm turning this off.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people did, man. A lot of people, especially, and then to top it all off, well, I guess most of the festivities weren't terrible. Really, it was just a 3 point contest and the 3 point shootout between Sabrina and Steph.
Yeah.
But other than that, you had the dunk contest and the skills challenge, which had a weird format to it. Just not very interesting. Not very interesting at all.
It ain't worth the price of admission to say the least.
No, it's not.
Um, well, hey, look, let's talk about our pick'em dummies here. You are in Vegas, so as of right now, I mean, you still would have lost money because you didn't have a perfect record, but you had a really good chance though. We'll
Yeah, it was
talk about your
close.
record first here. You had the Orlando Magic against the Detroit Pistons, -6.5. The Pistons decided to play basketball after you insulted them on Friday. Uh, and lost by 3. The Timberwolves came out, smacked them around. I think they played the Bucks, or no, they played the Nets,
The
smacked them
Nets,
around
yeah.
to 8.5. You took the Wolves -8.5, took the W there. The Bucks today, I don't think it mattered on the point spread. You had them on the money line. They won that one, and then the Kings are currently pending right now. Here, we'll check the score of that in just a second. But hey, man, 2-1. You got a really good streak going on, to say the least, my man.
Yeah, I'm trying to carry over my NFL magic over into the NBA, and just to give an update, the Kings are up by 11 over
In,
the overachieving Clippers, who are coming back down to earth where they belong.
in the third quarter as well, so that's looking pretty good for you here. I guess we'll talk about my disaster here. I had the Warriors in the money line. Folks, never pick your team because this is what happens.
Yep, that
They tend
always
to lose here.
happens. Always. Yep.
The Knicks were +6.5, and I guess they found that not to be disrespectful and pretty accurate to say the least. So they decided to lose that. I lost that one. I had the Pacers this afternoon on the money line against the Mavericks. Took that as well. And then the Thunder today also with a W on the money line. So I went 2-2. Again, not terrible, but if I was in Vegas, don't. I mean, for those who watch the show on Friday, thank you guys so much for doing that. Just don't listen to me when it comes to picks. I would just hedge and take the opposite of what I do because it's obviously not working for me here. Listen to T. He's got all the
I,
he's been pretty accurate to say the
I
least here.
guess. I guess. I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, let's take a look at the standings real quickly here before we sign off here.
Yeah.
The big thing that stands out to me the most is in the Western Conference here, and there's a division that basically is sitting at the top mostly. You have the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves uh, basically tied for the top seed here, followed by the Clippers, Nuggets, Suns, and Pelicans. They round out the top six
Mm-hmm.
with the Kings, Mavericks, Lakers, and Warriors all in the play-in position here. So it looks like this is what we're going to see as far as the 8 teams go, jockeying for position here. What stands out to you most in the Western Conference with those teams?
I mean, What stands out? I mean, there's a couple of things. The first thing is the Lakers and the Warriors in the same position, pretty much.
We suck.
I mean,
We suck.
it's not like one of the two teams could have been any better. They literally showed up with the same the same effort. So that to me is strange. I will say I am surprised, and I do have to give some respect to the Timberwolves. They have held their own in
They
the number
have.
one seed. You know, it was questionable earlier in the season. Denver was number one for a little bit, but the Timberwolves have held their own. OKC as well. They're a team that been playing has been playing very consistently. They play hard these regular season games because they're young, obviously. So they've shown themselves to be a talented team, and it's just curious to see if we lined it up now and we said I'm going to take Minnesota's going to play against the Golden State Warriors and Oklahoma City is going to play against the Lakers in the playoffs. Do I believe that the Timberwolves or Thunder can beat those teams? You know, I don't
So
know.
I think that's the big question here because the two teams at the top have zero playoff experience here, and we're not talking in the sense that they haven't been in the playoffs, but they haven't been the top dog, and now they're going to be if the season ends, they're the top dog. How do
Right,
you handle that pressure?
right,
How do
right,
you handle that expectation here? You have teams like you said, the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers here, who've been in these dogfights before when it comes to the postseason, and they know what it takes to win, and,
right.
and not panicking, even though the game can get out of hand on the road. Is how do you maintain that here? I think the New Orleans Pelicans for me is kind of I wouldn't say they're a dark horse, but they could quietly be a team that you don't want to play
Yeah,
um, in the postseason here. Just with a lot of the vet experience here. I'm not sold on the Suns. The Denver Nuggets are just too quiet for
yeah.
their own good here. But the Warriors did expose a lot of Nikola Jokic's bad habits. It just they couldn't close out a game here. And the Dallas Mavericks, I'm really
Yeah,
a team that I'm not really sold on. The Sacramento Kings are the Sacramento Queens, so I don't really find any interest in them in the playing tournament here.
let the Kyrie to LA rumors begin because that's what it's going to end
They
up being. Because if Dallas can't find a way to get out of the play-in, then I don't see the point in Luca and Kyrie playing together. It doesn't make any sense.
Let's move over to the Eastern Conference here. We'll start at the top. Your top six teams are going to be the Celtics, the Cavs, the Bucks, Knicks, Sixers, and Pacers. Your playing teams are in order: Heat, Magic, Bulls, and Hawks. I'll let you go first. I'll give you a little tidbit. Atlanta just lost Trey Young for the next 4 weeks,
It's,
pending further news here. But what do you take out of that East?
I mean, the Atlanta Hawks are 25-32. They don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. You know, well, I guess you have to give some credit to Boston if they hadn't been so good the last two seasons. I think you'd be looking at them and saying, "Wow, this is the best team in the league." But the problem is, we've seen them get into the playoffs and somehow find a way to not get there. And so I'm curious, or lose to the Heat. Actually, is the problem. I'm
Yeah,
curious to see if they can maintain this in the playoffs. If the Celtics, with the addition of Porzingis, in Holiday, can they push themselves forward into that next level and make it to the finals? That's kind of what I'm looking for from them. They are by far the best team in the league. It's not even close. 45-12. They're 5 games from 50 wins.
yeah,
They're about to clinch a playoff spot before anybody is done wiping their ass. And they've been consistently the best team in the league. They're 26-3 at home, 19-9 on the road, and they're on an 8-game win streak. So they have dominated the East. Um,
yeah.
the Cleveland Cavaliers is an interesting team. I don't see them doing much, but they are the 2 seed, and then things get a little shaky as you go down the ladder here. I mean, the Bucks I think is a great team. The Knicks are playing better. The Sixers do not have Joel Embiid and are probably in danger of falling out of that spot
Yes.
because they're only 1 game ahead of the Pacers. They're only 1 game ahead of the Pacers in the Heat in the loss column, and only 2 games ahead of the Orlando Magic. So if they're not careful, they may find themselves in that eighth spot, and propel a team like Miami Heat or Orlando will propel themselves up into that sixth spot. So I don't see the Sixers doing anything. I don't think the Sixers were going to do anything this season anyway because Joel can't stay healthy, and they have a good amount of scoring punch with Tyrese Maxey. But we're talking about the playoffs and the teams that they're going to have
Yeah.
to play. These teams are not easy to. I mean, we're talking about the Bucks, the Celtics, and then the rising Knicks. So yeah, we it's gonna be interesting to see how they manage, if they can
Yeah.
manage to get out of the playoffs.
The rise and fall of the Sixers, obviously, it all goes around Joel Embiid, and ever since he's been out, they have just been
Yeah,
dropping back in the standings here. And like you said, they may end up being a playing team because like the Warriors and the Lakers, if they fall into that playing tournament, that's a big hill to climb in the Eastern Conference here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
crazy enough to say that, but the Pacers are playing great basketball here. The Knicks have been consistent all year. The Bucks, maybe the Bucks are finding
The
their groove
stride,
here. We
yeah,
don't know yet.
they're starting to look like it a little bit.
I can tell you this though, I was not expecting Cleveland to be in that 2 spot.
Yeah,
I
like where did
really
that come
was
from?
not expecting that here. And nobody's talking about it. They're
No.
the quietest two team second seed in all of this here.
Yeah, I'm like wondering
You-
who are they playing? Who the hell are they playing?
but I think everything is going to go through Boston when this is all said and done here.
Yeah,
You know, they I think this is the got to be the year that Jason Tatum really has to have a breakout in the playoffs here. He cannot go silent anymore. He really has to turn a different level here. And
yeah,
you cannot have that Mamba mentality for the regular season and then proceed not to show anything during the postseason here. So I would expect big things from him. If he can turn a different page, I think the Celtics may end up just winning the entire thing here. But for now, I think the top seeds for both the East and the West are pretty accurate here, and then it just becomes a logjam, which is nice to see. It means it's going to be a competitive next couple months before we get into the playoffs here.
yeah. Exactly, exactly.
All right. All
Oh
right.
man.
Well, we got a couple minutes here before we sign off here. Real quick, if you folks haven't done it yet, stay on YouTube, but go check out the interview with Johnny Manziel and Shannon Sharp. It is one to watch. It's about 2.5 hours long. It's pretty. It's probably one of the best interviews that Shannon Sharp has done outside of Cat Williams. Um, but you get a really deep insight from a guy who went from everything and absolutely
Yeah, no, yeah,
lost it all,
yep.
to say the least here. So for those who haven't checked it out yet, go watch it or go catch some of the clips here. He dives into some deep stuff about his time in Cleveland, what he did at Texas A&M,
Yeah.
and just kind of the overall fall of his career here. But um, T, you got anything else before we sign off, man?
No,
How long
man.
you in Vegas for?
I'll be here until Thursday. So I'll be here for the long haul. So yeah, it's gonna be busy, busy, busy. Yeah, I gotta be up at about 5:45. I would say about 6 o'clock.
Ooh,
So I could start RVIT. Everything starts at 7 a.m. It'll be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So yeah, man.
yeah.
12-hour days. So nah, your boy ain't got nothing to say. I'm gonna go to sleep. Shit.
One last thing, you are in Vegas here. Are
Yes.
you a gambler?
No, no. I'll play slots. I'll
No.
play slots. I'll go
You
down
smash
there.
that? You smash the screen?
I don't smash the screen. I just push the button. But my thing is I do talk to I be talking to the machine though. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be like, come on
What's
now.
your machine?
Come on. Come on. I don't
What's your machine of
I
choice? Do
like
you have one?
playing, my wife got me on the one with the buffaloes. I like the buffaloes. So I'll play that, as I'm an
Okay.
old man. I look for anything bright and new. I remember when they had the what's it called? The Ghostbusters machine. Oh, that was my
Yeah.
jam, man. I used to love that
Yeah.
machine. But I haven't seen it since. So if they could give me, I just like stuff to be bright. I like a lot of noises. You know what I mean? I want my bonus to be exciting. I don't want the like 1920s game, or the old one where you get a bonus
Yeah.
but you don't know it. Like I want sounds. I want explosions. I want stuff flying across my
I want
screen. You know what I
explosions.
mean?
You know what the most upsetting part about that is like when you get a bonus and you're hoping it's something big, turns
You
out to
don't
be like
get nothing. Yeah, I
five
know.
bucks.
I know. I
And I'm
hate
like,
that.
man, but like you said, it's the lights, the sounds,
Yeah.
the hope of hitting something big, and
Right.
then you get that. But no, man, enjoy your time in Vegas, man. I know you got to put a lot of work in, but enjoy that time out there as well, man. But I know the family misses you as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna try to get myself up to get a little something to eat because right now I'm feeling like I'm just gonna lay down and go to sleep. But I'm gonna try to get up and go grab some. They got like a
Yeah,
They got like a Randy's Donuts downstairs. They got all types of stuff here, dude. So I'm just gonna pinpoint something and grab me a little something to eat and then crash, man. I'm out. I'm out.
right on, man. All right, well, go ahead and take us out of here.
All right, for sure, y'all. Well, of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video. We appreciate it. And then hit that notification button. We appreciate y'all joining us. We will be back next Friday or this. What the hell is today? Friday. Next Friday with with NBA Pick'em Dummies, and then we'll be back at it on Sunday with more NBA drama. Hopefully, we get some more fights. Uh, Zion Williamson versus a hamburger versus Joel
There you
Embiid.
go again.
I don't know. I feel like Zion is just stiff arming all of his ex women. I'm glad he made it through that. That was tough for a little while there.
It
Um,
was. It
yeah,
was.
but yeah, hopefully he learned his lessons. You don't want your women like you want your burgers, sloppy, sloppy.
Oh
Everybody
man, that is
loves.
one way to take us out. I love that, man.
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right. Take it easy.
Later, y'all.
Later.